introduce our first speaker, experienced Chief Marketing Officer with a demonstrated history of working in the event services industry. Ayan. He is a skilled in marketing, communications planning, and creative event planning. And with a strong marketing professional and graduated from UST Graduate School. Ayan. Let's all welcome Mr. Nigel Aguilar of Casa Aguilar. Come on in, say
Hello,
hi, Sir
everyone.
Nigel. Ayan.
Hello. Thank you for
Good
inviting
evening,
me in.
sir. Yes, you're
Yeah.
welcome po. Thank you for accepting our invitation din po. How are you tonight, Mr. Nigel?
All good and productive, and I'm very excited to be here and seeing all the most beautiful faces and handsome people around. Thank you for being
Ayan.
here.
Yes, and I think they're all excited to learn from you tonight. Ayan. So, we're going to start our session, Sir Nigel. Ayan. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.
Good evening again, everyone. So, thank you for inviting me here tonight. And I am going to share some important tips about venues. There are so many wedding venues available everywhere today, and your head is whirling. But these things are dizzying. Ah, okay. So, how do you choose the perfect setting for your special day? Let's get started. You need to do a yes, maybe, no list to match your personality to your venue and your big day. For instance, if you are a laid back pair, then skip the banquet halls with chandeliers. Some venues will won't feel like your style from the get go. Other venues go on the maybe list, and few will give you that just right vibe. To narrow the things down before wasting too much time and energy, explore a rundown of traditional, new, and unusual wedding types. Then find out how many venues should you visit in person. So, what are the types of wedding venues you should visit in? There are five types you need to check out. I use the word code, which is a synonym term for venue or facility. Each letter has its preferences. Easy to recall? Easy to remember? Let's move on. First, cheap wedding venues are sites that are affordable and get clear on any decor limitations and offering because this will vary widely between spaces. These are community center, government building, backyard, library, university, etc. Next, outdoor venues are places where you can enjoy nature and see. Barn, vineyard, mountain lodge, garden, beach, boat, and the likes. Unique venues are great spot in the likes of antiques, historic palaces, fairy tale castles, warehouses, family mansions, and many more. Recreational venues are centers where they can accommodate leisure and other sport activities. Gym, zoo, art gallery, museum, theme parks, and so on. Lastly, are the most common location called traditional venues. They are designed to have banquet halls and have its main purpose in holding any events such as hotels, country clubs, restaurants, resorts, churches, bed and breakfast inn, and so many. Now, you have narrowed down what you're looking for. And the question is, how many wedding venues should you visit? Try to visit between 5 and 7 venues in person before your final decision. Do your calendar planning in few weeks. This will help you refine your preferences and may even alter the next venues you check out. Before you get to visit in person, you really need to know the basics before your right choices. First, this is the most obvious question you will ask when you visit. Parking. You have to find out if the parking space is big enough to accommodate your guest cars. Second, availability. Always take note on the availability of the event date for both the church and the reception venue before booking. Accessibility. Remember, a venue is a person. Learn to adapt with not only ordinary people, but also senior citizens, handicapped, special people, and foreigners. For those who don't know how to speak English or say nakakatugo ng ilong sa pagsasalita ng Ingles, you need to learn how to speak one. Learning is fun. On the important note, the venue must know the importance of customer service and customer satisfaction. Customer is customer, and discriminations will not be accepted. Services and amenities. You want to make sure that the venue is suited to accommodate everyone attending. Additionally, it is required to make sure that the location has all the amenities you may need for your special day. The amenities to think about when looking for a wedding venue are the following. First, there should be an area accessible for catering the wedding meal. Second, there should be rooms available for makeup, dress up, and sleepover. And lastly, and knowing that event features a DJ or band with music playing, many people also play videos and other forms of multimedia during the event. Make sure that your venue can accommodate this. It's important to also test all equipments before the big day to make sure it's all working as it should. This whole business of ingress and egress could add unnecessary stress to the couple. It's better to leave your trusted suppliers to do their job and enjoy the good result. Convenience. This is something that you have to take note when it comes to ocular visit. If a client in the event's place and suddenly he only find one guard and no one else, and the guard tells him to contact the details given to him because he doesn't know about it. This means you lose the opportunity. Why? The venue is like a baby. The owners and the sales are like mother to a convenience. When it comes to needing something, to define convenience, make a little effort to help your baby grow healthy. So do the same thing to a venue. The sale should be there anytime. And make sure there are contact details about the venue stated in the website or any social media when it comes to appointment. Contract. It is expected for venues to have some restrictions, protocols, and guidelines. However, if you feel that the restrictions are unreasonable so as to cause a lot of friction with other suppliers and would amount to a lot of additional fees afterward, then maybe it's not worth all the trouble. Whether you read the contract or not, and you have signed the agreement, this means you have read and agreed on it. So read and understand the contract carefully before signing. Coordination. I know some don't want this, but it is recommended to have one because this venue coordinator acts like a teacher and tourist guide to let the guests and suppliers know the rules and regulations as stated in the agreed contract. We don't want any competitions between suppliers. Like I said, discrimination is not accepted in all aspects. And at the end of the day, the agreement for both parties makes everything easier and less emotion driven along the way. Once you have scouted around with the basics being met, then it's time to ask yourself how to sort out your final decision. Understand the signature of a venue if it matches your personality and find out if the layout meets your capacity. Check out your budget first before looking into the signatures of your venue. Know your guest counts to see if this venue fits well. But if your signature is what you always dream of and look for, and the budget overwhelms you, well, ask a financial advisor to guide you how to save money before your biggest day, be it in 5 years or less in the making. Next, observe the suppliers if they are professional and certified vendors. You need to know better how to take precautions against fly-by-nights or scams. Then be open to your suppliers to match your preferences and personality for your wedding day. Make sure your suppliers are on hands, not spoiled with you with no matter how stressful you are before planning everything and during the planning process. Ensure that the venue have utilities and security for the safety of everyone. It is expected for venues to have some restriction, mainly for the maintenance and upkeep of the place. While you might have the perfect places in mind to get married and hold a reception, make sure that the two venues are close enough together. Out of consideration for your guests, the two should be as close together as possible. Ideally, you want your guests to be able to witness your vows and then to celebrate with you. As a general suggestion, try to keep the travel distance under 15 kilometers from ceremony to reception, or the traffic time should be less than 30 minutes. If your reception area is further away than 15 minutes, then be sure to make it a special destination for you as well as your guests. Most people will make the effort to go wherever they are invited. But if you make it too far away, be prepared to have some guests attend the ceremony and go home. You might also have others skip the ceremony and only attend the reception. Keep this in mind as you decide on the two sides. So let's recall again. Make a yes, maybe no list to make a rundown of many courts. Know the basics very well. Scout your wedding destination, and voila, your wedding dream starts now. So thank you, everyone.
Ayan, thank you very much, Sir Nigel, for very, very informative session. Ayan, can you just please naman click the icon there with the heart, with the clap? Ayan, ang dami. Thank you very much naman. Ayan. So, our question and answer, mga suntuwets, is going to be after our second speaker. Ayan. So, we're not going to be, hindi na natin patatagalin pa. And I'm going to introduce our second speaker. Ayan. Our second speaker is, she is the center manager of Ninoy and Cory Aquino Foundation. She is the president of Tarlac Event Suppliers. She handled and implemented the organization's events involving the suppliers' activities, such as TES fundraising ball and kite projects. She is the president of Tarlac Convention and Visitors Bureau. Ayan. With addition, of course, the Tarlac Convention and Visitors Bureau is non-government organization related to tourism MICE events. Ayan. And I would like to welcome our second speaker is none other than Miss Nina Karen Lactamana Carrera. Ang ganda ng name!
Hi, good
Bagets na
evening.
bagets! Hi po!
Hi, good evening. Hi, good
Welcome!
evening. Thank you.
Ayan.
Hi, Sir Nigel. Hi, Miss
Yeah.
Daisy.
Hello po.
Ang
Ayan.
ganda ng presentation ni Sir Nigel.
Yes, very very informative. And of course, for our second speaker, alam ko po excited na naman nating mga suntuweds. Ayan, to learn more. Ayan. So we can start na, Miss Karen. Ayan.
I'll be sharing our PDF file.
Ayan.
Sige. Sir Nigel was able to tell the basics of what you look for a venue. So, ako siguro, as mentioned in the program, we'll talk about um, what is it to have a wedding during the community quarantine. Right now, kasi maraming mga iba, medyo nalulungkot, hindi daw sila makapag-wedding. Meron pa naman kung pagkakataon para makapag-wedding tayo. But of course, we have to follow a lot of protocols. Pero as long as we follow this one and as long as we coordinate properly, okay naman. So as a while ago you mentioned, I'm with the Aquino Center. So this is designed and by the company. The architecture of this building is designed by Francisco Manyosa, our national artist for architecture. So just to give you a little bit of preview, so here's our place in Tarlac City, located in San Miguel, Tarlac City. Yeah. So our place is also both, na-mention ni Sir Nigel kanina, na ang mga venues pwedeng indoor, pwedeng outdoor, pwedeng traditional, pwedeng recreational. So the Aquino Museum has traditional, and we have outdoor, we have our garden, and we have indoor, which is the grand ballroom, which is sinasabi ni Sir na traditional. But of course, we also have yung recreational. This is our grand ballroom na naka-set up, and we have the museum lobby also, which is being also used as venue. Okay, so we go back on what are the wedding, how is it to have a wedding on a community quarantine? So here in the Philippines, and we're still on a community quarantine. So, diba? Yeah. So number one is, even if we're in a wedding or in a safety of everyone is something that we always think about. So safety is everyone's responsibility. Hindi lang event coordinator, hindi lang ng guest, hindi lang ng client or ng mga suppliers, it's for everyone. So from the supplier to the guest to the client, yeah, lahat tayo. So what are the things that we need to think about? So we have to coordinate and prioritize accordingly. Yung guest mo, your supplier, your guest and your suppliers. Itong portion na to yung sinabi na ni Sir Nigel. So hindi ko na uulitin yon. So paano pagpili, no? Then next, so since we're in a community quarantine, we have to know our rules. So there is the IATF, there's the LGU, and there's the venue, and there's the suppliers. Parang ang dami, no? Kailangan mong isipin. Dati naman we had, each one has their rules. Ngayon lang, nadagdagan lang si IATF at saka si LGU. So, what are the things that we should think of? Number one is, what is your community quarantine category? For example, sa Las Piñas and Tarlac, magkaiba ang community quarantine category namin. Like, ang Tarlac is already modified general community quarantine. Nakakalito na, no? And then, I think sa Las Piñas it's GCQ, if I'm not mistaken. I-clarify natin mamaya kay Sir Nigel. So, what else do you need to know? What are the DTI, DOT, DOLE, and administrative orders for this category? So what are the categories that you are in? So kailangan yung isipin, ECQ ba? Kasi right now, pag ECQ, talagang bawal ang events. Pag MECQ, before, parang 10 persons lang. Pag GCQ, 30% of the capacity. As pag MGCQ, 50% of the capacity of the venue. So, kailangan yung malaman, ano ba yung category ng venue namin? Okay. So, next. These are some of the administrative orders na pinalabas ng ating DOT and DTI. These are the rules that the venues and the other suppliers are following. This is the amended health and safety guidelines governing the operations of MICE organizers and venues or facilities under the new normal. We're actually using both new normal and MGCQ. And then sometimes magkakaroon ng mga additional na amendments. For example, alam niyo naman, siguro napansin niyo na medyo pabago-bago ang mga rules natin. Yung dating 50%, may iba dinadagdagan ng 7, nadadagdagan, may iba naman binababaan. So, depende rin yon sa LGU niyo. So, next. Iba rin pag nasa restaurant yung ano nyo, yung event niyo, or within a hotel or within a restaurant, or it's just a venue mismo. You really have to coordinate properly or with your venue and your suppliers. And if you have an event coordinator, your event coordinator. So, like for example, sa LGUs, does your LGU or the location of your event, kunyari, sa Tarlac, MGCQ, yung client gusto niya naman pala sa Tagaytay. So you have to check, ano nga ba yung community, ano ba yung mga rules ng sa Tagaytay. Like for example, in Tarlac, if you are coming from a different province or you're coming from NCR, may requirement na papasok ka, na may PCR ka, ganon, or health, you have to undergo the PGT travel pass website, or like sila Sir Nigel, kailangan may QR code ka bago ka pumasok sa venue nila. Okay? Or sa venue nila. So, those are the things that you need to know na kailangan nyo rin i-consider. Although another thing is, some things change every now and then. I-explain ko sa inyo mamaya. So next will be sa venue. Most of the time, pareho rin naman ang rini-request ni venue at saka ni LGU. For us in Aquino Center, for example, we don't still, as of now, we don't require a PCR test. Pero our boundaries in Tarlac require a PCR test. So, we will ask for a copy of that one pag pumunta sa venue namin. Kung galing ka sa ibang places na that they call NCR bubble. So, once in a while, we would also get orders from DOT, from DTI, from LGU. Ano yung changes? Kasi there was a time na March 1, nagsabi sa amin ng LGU na, okay, no more health certificate, hindi na kailangan yan. Bigla-bigla, nagkaroon ng spike ng COVID cases. So, after 2 weeks, palit na naman. Kailangan na naman ng health certificate. Kailangan na naman ng PCR test, gano'n, or rapid or antigen exams, parang gano'n, test. Gano'n. And then, yun, kailangan pa rin dumaan ng travel pass. So, mga ganong bagay. Next. So, but generally, we need to follow, of course, the minimum requirement, which is upon entering, you have to be wearing a face mask and a face shield, and you have a health declaration or may QR code ka na depende sa venue, may QR code ka na. These are just the main 3 that as a guest and suppliers, yun, as a whole, yun ang ginagawa. So, each venue, meron din silang mga ibang protocols na, not protocols, but safety protocols or health requirements, such as dadaan sila sa, of course, yung temperature check. Tapos doon, meron din foot bath, magandang disinfection. So, next. So, this one naman is parang ito na ba? Okay. There's some things na particular na nakalagay ito sa mga administrative order. Like for example, sa catering, bawal ang self-service. So it means ang bawat buffet, it should be manned. For example, I think in other places, hindi pwede ang buffet. As in, totally bawal ang buffet. Okay. Based on some rules naman, pwede pa rin ang buffet basta't man siya. Ibig sabihin, meron tao na nagsaserve dun sa dish mo. Hindi hahawakan ni guest yung serving spoon. And at the same time, pwede rin individually serve. It not necessarily plated. For example, yung mga, ito, based from our experience, yung gracing table, syempre, di ba, before in between the ceremony and the ceremony and the reception, minsan meron tayong cocktails, may grazing table tayo, may mobile bar, ganon. During the first portion of the community quarantine, talaga nahirapan kami and we had to think of ways. We worked together with the suppliers. So we told the suppliers, sabi ng DOT, sabi ng DTI, bawat to. So what could we do? So they gave suggestions, ma'am, sige, individually serve natin, pati yung mga yung mga for cocktails. Pwede rin nating sabihin na na lang siya, isa-serve na lang siya. Okay. Tapos, next, may ibang venues, they have other rules like such as one entrance, one exit. This is based actually on still on the order, administrative order, which is kung kaya ng venue na merong one entrance, ang pasukan lahat dito, ang extend lahat dito, yun yung pwedeng gawin ng venue. Tapos on disinfection, yan, of course, it's very important that that the chosen venue does a disinfection before and after your event. Yan. And then you could see also that the people, they have equipment such as UV. There's, of course, they will not use the UV during, but they use the UV after. They do foggings after. And then those are the things that you can ask your venues na kung ginagawa ba nito kasi it's for your safety. And then the staff are also wearing PPEs besides the usual face mask. Yung iba, they have a PPE also. They're also wearing PPE. So what else? So as I mentioned a while ago, we have to be open, be creative, and be prepared. Kasi may changes, because of the community quarantine, anything can happen. But if you are prepared, sabi nga dun sa isang session with sila Ms. Janae, together with I think a mental health advisor, if you are prepared, knowing what could happen, thinking of the what ifs, mas madali mong matanggap. So let's face it, anybody can have COVID anytime. So like we had one incident that we found out that the mother of the bride nag-positive siya the day before the event. O syempre kailangan i-postpone. Pero ang maganda doon, nag-usap na si event coordinator, nag-usap na sila supplier, nag-usap na yung mga clients ng mga what ifs. Ma'am, ano ang plano natin? What if mag-positive na ganito? Nakaayos na. So hindi yung on the day itself or matataranta kayo. You have to prepare what ifs. It's important. It's not thinking negatively, but it's being prepared. And then as I mentioned, be creative. Ito, I really admire our suppliers. Like for example, before, we didn't want a grazing table. Kasi usually grazing tables, yan yung dinudumog ng mga tao na hindi nagkakaroon, hindi na-follow ang social distancing or ang physical distancing. So I said, there's something that we need to do. So it's either you will control it, but then sasabihin na naman na may rule na bawal ang pagkuha pag hindi siya man. So then somebody was able to think of doing it individually. Parang there's a wall, parang may siyang parang donut wall, parang ganon. Naka-individual siya. So ang mangyayari, anybody can get without contaminating the other food, di ba? So, meron din nakapag-isip na sabi niya, ma'am, if sabi dun sa couple na, would you want it instead of plated, take out? Siyempre yung thinking ng couple, pag sinabing take out, yung naka-box lang na ganito, styro or what, hindi. He suggested na, ma'am, since your team will be picnic or something na, nag-think siya na it will be in a basket, mga ganon, and then nakaano siya. So the people, after the program, they can choose to bring home the basket with the food or they can actually eat there. So yun nga, nagiging creative yung utak ng ating mga suppliers. So be very open to suggestions of your suppliers. Be very creative and yun nga, be prepared. So um, the most important, siguro medyo nagguguluhan na kayo minsan, na parang ang dami kailangan isipin. I get all this impression nga minsan na nakakaawa minsan yung mga bride na nahiharas nila. So sabi ko sa kanila always is, you have to be open, you have to be creative, you have to be prepared, and then yun nga, very organized. Ngayon, the best is to get an event coordinator. Whether your event is 50, whether your event is 100, like sa amin, we are allowed 150, you get an event coordinator. Um, Kasi it helps release the anxiety. Kasi sila mga event coordinator, they know what to do. They already know what to do and they're already thinking ano ba mga kailangan gawin. If they are familiar with this venue, ano na kasi ang ano ang mga rules ng venue ito. So in this kind of situation, mas ma-relax kayo. So hindi kailangan na mahaharas kayo or dahil nga ang dami-daming requirements ng ating government or ng mga venues or ng LGUs natin. So it's very important that you're very organized, you be calm, you be open, be creative, be prepared. And then you get an event coordinator to help you with that one. Yeah. So I think that's it. Tama na, those are the things that have a memorable and a safe wedding. So I hope I was able to help you think think out of the box or how your wedding will be during a community quarantine. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Casey.
Ayan, thank you very much, Miss Karen. Ayan, pasend naman ng mga heart icons dyan. Alive pa kayo dyan. Thank you. Ayan, dami heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very
And maybe
much.
call on Sir Nigel also to join our stage. Yan. Ang dami kong learnings, Miss Karen, kasi dito hindi ko alam yung mga QQQ na yan. So, meron pala tayong ECQ, ECQ, tama po ba? Ayan. I'm not, hindi ko kasi, wala kasi ditong MCQ, basta pag sinabing quarantine, quarantine. Ayan. So,
nga pala, you're abroad nga pala, no?
yes po, ayan. So, yes, Miss Karen, I like the thing na sinabi nyo, yung be open, be creative, and be prepared. Tama po yun kasi with this pandemic, we don't know what will going to happen next and happen in the next few months. So we need to have a plan B. Kung hindi lang plan B, we need to have also plan C. No? Yes.
And ABC.
Yes, ABC kung yung original plan, meron tayong B and C. So, hindi tayo masyadong mahagard or ma-stress about sa ano natin, sa preparation ng wedding. And also, yes, Miss Karen is also right about getting an event planner and event coordinator. Ayan, syempre po, stress na tayo. Feeling ko kung akong kinakasal, tapos ang daming mga requirements ng government, hindi ko na siguro alam kung anong uunahin ko, no? And then, of course, we have also the PCR test. Sir Nigel, in Casa Aguilar, we're also requiring the PCR test with everyone po ba? For example, 50 guests, kailangan po bang i-check lahat? Paano po yun?
Alright, so pag sa PCR test sa Casa Aguilar, we always remind the client they should get the result at least 2 weeks before the event date. So kailangan earlier as possible so that we ensure once not negative, you are given 2 weeks to stay in the quarantine area. Diba? So that to check out if the symptoms comes out or not. So pag successful yan, okay yan. But there are some cases na we had an event last few weeks ago. Gusto nila swab testing. So, well, the client will shoulder it for all of us. Yung swab testing is they have to do saliva testing. Then you have to wait for 15 minutes to get the result. Once your result turns out good, no COVID signs, this means you can enter in Casagrar. But kung nag-positive siya, then hindi siya pwede pumasok sa Casagrar. Sayang yung pupunta mo. So that's how it
On that
works.
day po.
On that day.
Ay, saklap naman nun. So,
Diba? I understand, but
okay.
they have to agree with the client because of the
Yes.
results.
Uh-huh. And also with the QR code, Sir Nigel. I'm not
Yes, we
familiar with the
have the
QR.
QR.
Meron na tayong QR code sa Pilipinas.
Yes, yes. Always remember, tama yung na-mention yung QR code. Make sure yung QR code dapat stay safe ang gamit. Why? Because all the records will go directly to the IATF and the LGU. Pero kung nagkumawa kayo ng sariling QR code, which is yung may Google form or something, please avoid that. Okay? Kasi those things you can record with you, pero the LGU doesn't have the record of that na merong history sa place nyo. So always required to use Stay Safe app all the time for all venues. Tama ba ako, Karen?
Yes, a lot of us actually are being requested by the LGU and the DOT actually kasi for some ways we are under the DOT because of we are considered an event venue and MICE. So meetings, incentives, and events. So conference and events doon kami nagfo-fall. So, isa sa mga requirements yon is to have a stay safe app. Yung mga iba na hindi pa, meron ini-encourage ng DOT kasi kami rin eh. There was this time that we used SafePass, but then it was just the start of the pandemic. So sabi ko, most probably marami pang lalabas niyan. And since we were close, we decided not to use it yet. And then, later on, biglang may lumabas naman sa LGU namin. Naku, I'm telling you, nakakaloka. So, may LGU naman, ito naman ang kailangan sa LGU namin. Hanggang finally, nag-request si DOT na pag if you are a mines, you're a venue, or a tourism destination, please use, stay safe. Yun, stay safe app. So,
Ayan.
yung iba nagma-migrate pa lang doon. So may iba sa amin nagma-manual pa pero may iba naka-stay safe na. Yun.
Yes. And I like
Ayan.
to add one also. In Casa Kilar, we always include the contract about Stay Safe app. So every time when the client agreed or signed, we give them a copy. So there's an instruction and guideline to how to use Stay Safe app para aware sila and especially for the guests. Yan ang pinaka-importante.
Ayan.
In the long run kasi dapat talaga we will have one unified app para hindi naman na ang dami-dami ng apps na dinadownload ng ating mga guests at saka yung kahit yung mga suppliers, di ba? They go from one venue to another venue because pwede sila mag-style or mag-event ibang venues. May iba-iba ang ating QR code, pa iba-iba ang app. So it's nice talaga na we will have a unified app.
Yes.
Yes, that's very nice. Ayan, inunahan ko na daw yung mga suntuweds na mag-question, no? Very, ano po kasi ako, curious lang. Ayan. So, mga suntuweds, we can start to ask questions to Sir Nigel and Miss Karen. And we have three choices po. Ayan. So, first, you can comment on the chat box your question. Or you can raise your hand if you can see some raise hand icon down so that you can ask personally. And then the third one, we have a Q&A portion here. Ayan, I think we have already questions. Thank you very much. You can type your questions there. Okay, so we're going to start. Okay, we don't have any here in the comment box on Q&A. Ayan, by Miss Jazz Dorado. I will going to read the questions po. Paano po if may gusto na venue si fiancé pero medyo malayo sa church? Should we stick to it or hanap na lang ng iba? Ayan, sino pong mag-answer sa atin?
Sir Nigel, ikaw
You can
muna
call
dyan.
us out our name. Ako na lang? Okay. Alright.
Okay, sige, Sir
Okay.
Nigel.
Alright. Diba I mentioned earlier, it is the choice of the client. If your destination is far away, diba sabi ko? So, if your client or soon-to-wed couple is happy with the church and happy with the reception, and the distance is really far, then that's okay with them. Make sure the guests and the bride feels their conveniency if they want to go to the church right away. Kung ayaw niya dahil malayo, then go to the reception. Whatever is their convenience, go for it. So remember, you want the soon-to-wed couple to have a memorable milestone. Yun ang pinaka-importante, guys. Don't
Yes.
force na, ay, kailangan ako makapalit. Sayang yung memory mo kasi this is what you're dreaming for. Di ba? Yan, go ahead, Karen. Baka may sabihin ka.
I believe that, especially here in Tarlac, in Manila, ang usual iniisip mo is yung layo, yung traffic and everything. Dito sa Tarlac kasi, most of the venues and the churches are near each other. Usually yun ang ginagawa nila, malapit. Pero may iba kasi talaga na yung may puso silang, may church sila na talagang yun yung gusto nila eh. 'Di ba? Um, what they did is they chose that church. Kaso walang malapit na maayos na venue doon. So they have to go another 30 minutes to another venue. Like sa amin, there was this time, the church was in Herona, and that's 30 minutes away from Aquino Center. Pero they want that church and they want Aquino Center as the venue. So the event coordinator suggested, sige, okay lang po. But this is what we do. Dapat, doon sa event, sa after the church, meron pa yung pamimigay na goodies or something para while they travel, they're eating pa rin. And upon arrival sa reception, meron pa rin food na nag-aantay. Kasi usually the program itself will take a little while pa eh. So, kung meron ka mang gustong mga ganong ideas, don't forget also your guest. Baka naman, pinaka number one is wag mong gugutumin si guest. Kasi bigla yung aalis. Or kung hindi yan biglang aalis, bigla yung pupunta ng buffet table na hindi pa nila turn. So, kung gusto, meron ka talagang isang bagay na gusto, okay lang yon. But you check all the other considerations yon. Kung malayo, pakainin mo yung mga guests mo, give them some goodies or treats habang nagta-travel sila pabalik ay papunta ng reception.
Yeah.
Pagdating ng reception, meron pa rin food na nag-aantay sa kanila. Make it memorable not just for you but even for your guests.
Yes,
Diba?
that's
Tama ba,
tama
Sir
yan.
Nigel?
That's right. Totoo yan. Kasi, of course, like I said, memorable, di ba? So,
Mm-mm.
Yes,
kailangan be creative yan. Tama
that's
yan.
true.
So, you find ways how to keep your guests exciting instead of being boring while traveling so long
Yes,
and
yes,
tiring, di ba? So,
Yes.
find
yes.
ways, guys.
Mm-mm.
So, you are flexible to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very nice, Miss Karen. Okay, so we have here from our Suntuweds again, Miss Alena Tejada. Ayan. Hi, Miss Alena. Thank you for attending. So, when should we talk to the venue coordinators regarding the details of the event? Ayan, Sir Nigel. Sige.
Ayan. All right. Okay. Usually, venue coordinator can be there anytime, especially during inquiry. Why? Because they guide you also. When you say venue coordinator, one person can be considered as sales teams also. Diba? Because they are familiar with the functionality and the guidelines of the venue. So they are there all the time. You can ask a lot of questions about that. And at the same time, if the suppliers and the clients have time to schedule a day before or 2 days before, that would be great. They can set a meeting with the venue coordinator to discuss all the plans. But if not on the day, then since because there's an ingress and egress, we know that suppliers go earlier. That's a great opportunity so that the venue coordinator can have a time to communicate with those suppliers what to do. Yeah, there. Go
Ayan.
ahead, Karen.
Miss Karen?
With us right now, I'm thinking of the community quarantine right now. dati kasi noon, they would call us, we would give their our house rules, ganun. Simple lang. Then pag may event coordinator sila, kakausapin na lang namin si event coordinator. Then we just ask kung sino yung mga suppliers nila. If we see that the other suppliers are regular, parang we're the one who's to talk to the suppliers. Kasi usually, especially in Tarlac, kung yung mga suppliers nila within Tarlac, we usually know them already. So pag nakita namin na iba yung like, bago or something, so that's the time that we try to reach out to them. Pero right now, with the community quarantine and with the importance of coordination, we really ask, pagka-book pa lang, gusto mo magkwentuhan na tayo? Parang ganun lang. So, I would always tell the client, would you like us to meet up first? What's your plan for your event venue, for your wedding? What's your idea? Para we would also let you know, kasi medyo maraming mga requirements here, para we can help you kung ano yung pwedeng mong gawin or how we can help you to be creative, mga ganon. So actually ngayon pa lang, pagka-book pa lang nila, or even pagka-inquire pa lang nila, we give them an idea how it is to have a wedding during the community quarantine. And I get in feedback na buti na lang, pagka-book pa lang o pagka-inquire pa lang, nagtanong na kami. Kasi parang it will be easier for them now to choose or to tell their suppliers what they want. Kasi minsan may gusto sila, gusto ko ganito, ganito. Community quarantine, hindi pwedeng ganun. Di ba? So, it's really nice right now that you really coordinate properly with the venues. Para, kasi ngayon, ang tinitingnan lagi is the event coordinator, which is the organizer, and the venue. So, kaya, as much as early on, nakipag-coordinate ka na. Kasi baka mamaya you will say na, I want 300 guests. Kasi alam mo, dati 300 guests ang nagda sa venue yon. Tapos yung pala, 150 na lang pala allowed. So ngayon mga ganon, pag may napusuan ka na, kahit hindi mo napusuan na venue eh. Sabi nga ni Sir Nigel, di ba? You choose 3, 4, 5, 6 venues. Kausapin mo na yun. Try to find out ano yung difference nila during a community quarantine. And if it matches your desired way of your event.
Ayan, thank you. Ayan, naiisip ko po pala yung sa mga Facebook, nanonood ng Facebook Live. Hindi sila makapag-ask ng question. Dapat pumasok kayo dito sa aming community event. Actually, Miss Karen, I have only follow-up question. Isa lang po. So, how early naman po natin kailangan i-book yung venue with this pandemic na paiba-iba ang ating ECQ or MECQ?
Kasi depende rin yan. Kasi before, di ba, I don't know how in other places. Before kasi, you book 1 year before, di ba, Sir Nigel, 1 year before, lalo na pag December. May iba 6 months before. Ngayon, may iba nag-book sa amin because of meron pa rin naman 6 months before. Yun nga lang, we tell them na, in 6 months pa yung wedding mo, you have to think, posible, I always say, posibleng wala ng community quarantine, posibleng may community quarantine pa.
Mm-hmm.
So, you plan first thinking na may community quarantine. And then, I always tell them, sige, 1 month before, kung gusto mong magdagdag dahil sinabi na pwede na, then you do that. Mas mahirap kasi yung magbawas kaysa magdagdag.
Yes, tama po yun.
Oo, di ba? So, may events kami na matagal na nag-book, pero at least a month or 2 months before, kung talagang magkakaroon ng changes, they let us know. They coordinate with us. Ganon. And then kasi constant, kasi I told you, there was a time na a day before, biglang may nag-positive eh. So, right now, constant coordination talaga ang kailangan.
Yes.
Pero at least, if you have a specific date that you want and you are positive that it will be okay na yung time na yon and you really want that date, by hook or by crook gusto mo ikasal doon sa date na yon, you book early. Pero may iba na hinahabol lang nila na, tong time na to, we have to get married kasi kunyari OFW sila. So, we want to get married at this time and then this time aalis na kami. May mga ganong
Yes po.
cases eh.
Yes po.
So, at least the minimum is 1 month. Minimum yon. So, it could be
Okay.
should be really early on eh. Kasi what if that date is already booked, di ba?
Mm.
Yun.
Yes. For Sir Nigel, any inputs po? How early to book? Nakamute po kayo, sir.
All right. So how early? Okay. For Casa Aguilar, in my experience, since we only allow one event a day, so there's no problem when it comes to ingress and egress. It's flexible. Ang maganda kasi doon it is the exclusivity. Kaya, which is much safer. You don't have any contact outside household members. Yun ang maganda sa Casa Aguilar. I know it's really sounds sad or painful to hear pagdating sa hotel kasi you meet different people, which is you have to watch out. So you have to be careful of this venue. Um, so for us, it's flexible pagka doon earlier as possible. But normally, traditionally, usually dapat 6 hours before the wedding day, they have to be there to prepare everything.
Okay. Thank you.
6 hours before?
Yes, for me, in Casa Aguilar. But in generally speaking, I understand there's 3 hours, 2 hours compressed if you have, di ba? Tama ba
For
ko?
the ingress. Are we
Pwede,
talking
ano
about
yan,
the
total, ingress, egress. When you say 6 hours, you combine, so you flexible lang.
Wow.
Miss Casey, did I understand it right? You were talking about
Kapag one event ka lang.
coordinating for a booking or coordinating for the event or ano?
Ano po? How?
Coordinating for the event.
Yes po. Coordinating for the event and also for the venue also. Pero yung yes po.
Yes.
Okay. So, we have questions. We had a lot of questions from our soon-to bride. We're going to start to answer them. From Miss Jenica Baisika. Thoughts about venue plus accommodation for wedding prep? Any thoughts? Okay, Sir Nigel? 'Cause,
All right. So, okay. When it comes to venue, okay. That's like I said earlier, you really need to scout first if the venue has the accommodation for wedding prep. Not all venues have rooms.
yes.
Some could be overnight, some holding stay. So you have to check this out. So the best option is you can do an online call someone, get the details more very well before you decide choosing the venue. There are so many venues out there to choose. So pagdating sa wedding prep, make sure you're the only person in that room. Pag may contact in different person, be careful. Follow the health protocols. Unlike in Casa Aguilar, we only accept one event. There's wedding groom. Exclusive. Siya lang. So wala nang contact with other people. Yan ang importante. But I don't know about Karen. So maybe you have a different scenario. You may share.
Actually, for our venue, we don't have accommodations. We have a prep area for touch up and ano, but we don't have accommodation. So, probably like Casa Aguilar, we have 2 venues actually, or actually 3. But these venues are far from each other. But right now, I strongly discourage din double events or triple events. Kahit magkakalayo, pinaka main entrance natin is isa. Although we have a main entrance and a back entrance, in case we have a double event, that's what we were thinking. Iba si entrance ng isa, iba yung entrance ng isa. Logistically, it will be difficult for us. Pero for if we have different event coordinators in charge naman, okay lang yon. So, walang masyadong contact with other people except for your guests and for your suppliers. So that's how Aquino Center is.
Okay, that's very nice. And moving on with our questions, mm, Miss Criven Obedo, ayan. What's your best advice if someone close to the couple who plays a major role in the wedding turns out to be a COVID positive? Thank you. Oh, like the example of Miss Karen a while ago. Okay, Sir Nigel first.
Wow,
Go, sir.
ako talaga. First okay. Okay, I have experienced one in Casa Killer. Nag-COVID positive yung husband who's coming from abroad. Okay.
Husband!
And okay. And the date was already fixed already. It was definite. Ayun. So nag-rush. So no more worry yung bride. Baka hindi na yung exact date and especially the church. So sabi ko sabi ko sa bride, no worry with Casa Aguilar. We are flexible pagdating sa date. You can move your date to the next day, one day ahead. If kung nagproblema, as long as check out muna kung nag-COVID positive, let the person stay in 2 weeks for quarantine. You'll never know kung may alabas ng symptoms. So, unless kung naglabas ng symptom, then you have to change your scenario, perception. Maybe you want to hold your wedding memory in the hospital. That would be great. Kaya lang, wala nang guests all around. So, syempre, if not, if you want in Casa Killer, we have to avoid some people. We can ask some requests from hospital, wear PPE, para nandun, kailangan maglagay ng equipment. Well, if they can do that, I would be happy na meron silang setup na hospital equipment para makapakasal sa Casa Aguilar. Pero we have to ensure everybody is wearing PPE all the time. Especially the guests. Alam ko, pawis-pawis ka magsuot ng PPE. No worries, there's aircon. Okay lang yan. Basta importante, lahat kayo naka-PPE. Lahat ng guests, whoever, no touch, everything. So go ahead. So like what Karen did, be open, be flexible, come up with some idea. There's so many solutions to do with it. Yeah.
Yan,
Go
be
ahead.
creative. Ayan, si Miss Karen.
Ang, hi- ang hirap naman nung, ano, yun nga. So, we have had na nagkaroon ng, it was not the couple mismo, but it was the father of the couple, one of the couple. So, yun nga ang sabi ko nga eh, be prepared, be creative. So when they booked, I I gave them some, what do you call this, rules or reminders na, what if may mangyayaring ganon? What is the rule of the venue? Or what is the rule of the event coordinator? Or ano yung si event stylist? Or kasi there was a time a day before biglang nag-cancel. The word maybe could be not cancel eh. More on postponement. May ibang venues, but they really don't allow cancellation and refund. May mga iba naman, because they understand it's a pandemic, they are flexible. But, of course, each one has their own rule. Pwedeng, pwedeng sabihin sa kanila na 50% na lang, or may iba sabihin, sige ho po ma'am, you can transfer to another date, but we request you something like this. Ganun. Depends on your contract and depends also on what you agree on. So right now kasi, we understand that we at the same the suppliers understand the clients, but there's also one thing that I request, that I always tell the clients also, you also understand the side of the suppliers, especially the caterers and the event stylists. Like for example, you said may bigla nag-positive and you have to cancel, and it's a day or 2 days before, kung hindi man yun napag-usapan sa kontrata, kung ano yung kailangan bayaran. Kasi may iba, very strict. Matuloy or hindi matuloy, you have to pay 50%. Yung mga ganon. It's either you follow that, and sometimes may iba naman suppliers na, sige ma'am, you pay for this one because these are the things that I bought already, di ba? If you're gonna be strict, you go for the 50%. Pag sinabi ng contract, 50%. But there are those who are flexible and sabihin, sige ma'am, ito na lang po ang babayaran natin. So, that's why you have to know your suppliers well. You have to talk to them. Hindi ka lang basta-basta magbo-book, hindi ka lang basta-basta, oh, itong gusto ko. You coordinate, you talk to them properly. Kasi, kasi nga things can change. That's why I say, be prepared, be open, and be well coordinated with them, di ba? Yon, be creative.
Ayan,
Yon.
tama. Ayan, magbasa ng kontrata, mga suntuweds. Okay.
Yes, magbasa ng kontrata. Kasi meron talagang very strict. I know a lot of places, Tarlac and Manila and other, na sorry, that's the date that you chose, and nasa nakalagay sa kontrata, then you follow the contract. Huwag ka na makipag-away or ano. Pero may iba na mahusay kausap, they will say, sige, ganito. Pero yung depende rin yan Depende rin sa dun sa supplier mo.
Mm-mm.
Pero yun, you always think of your supplier too. Kasi naglabas, lalo na yung mga caterers and mga event stylists, they did something na They bought stuff na, ganon.
Okay. Ayan, si Miss Crivet, sabi niya, thank you, Sir Nigel and Miss Karen, for enlightening us. Kudos. Ayan, meron tayong happy bride. Happy soon to bride. Okay, next question. I love yung question, ha? From Miss Stacy, ayan, for grazing table or snacks, while waiting for the reception, I'm worried that the guests may not take some, since they might think that food may have been sitting there for a long time. What can you recommend to us or caterer? Ayan. Sir Nigel? Si Miss Karen muna. Miss Karen, you want to
Si Karen
first?
muna.
Sige, Miss
Kasi
Karen.
na-mention na yung grazing
Yes.
table diba?
As I mentioned, kasi there was this time when the start of the pandemic, I really suggested na the grazing, actually the snacks or the things that the part of the cocktails will be individually given. So hindi siya nakalabas kasi meron yung iba talaga na ang concern nila is naka-expose siya. So may isa akong supplier na ang sinuggest niya, parang souvenir na rin siya na nakapack. Tapos nalinigay na sa table nila. So pag upo ni guest, meron siya ng snacks, naka-cover siya. Parang mga souvenir program, souvenir gift, pero pagkain sa loob. May isa akong guest, talagang gusto niya nakalabas daw. So kasi gusto niya makita daw sa video na may ganito. Sabi ko ganito na lang, pwedeng i-video na lang, pagka-video, i-pack. So, mas magtrabaho. Pero kasi yung wish niya, makikita daw sa video, sa SDE niya, yung grazing table. So, sabi ko, sige, if you want. So, habang wala pang tao, nag-video, linagay. Tapos nun, after ng i-video, yung caterer, it was not a caterer, it was another supplier, individually place it in a plate and place it on the table. So, ganon. Sabi nga, they have to be creative.
Yes, ayan. Sir Nigel, you have any inputs?
To be honest, pareho kaming idea, nakuha niya na.
Okay, thank you. So, we have only last questions, and the other suntuweds, you can ask questions directly, one-on-one, sa lounge area natin later. Ayan. So, kasi kanina pa naghihintay si Miss Romery Padilla. I'm sure she's excited. Ilan po maximum capacity sa Metro Manila ngayong GCQ? Metro Manila, okay. 30% of maximum capacity pa din po ba? And she has a second question. Basahin ko na lang po later or I'm going to read it now po. So, parang isa na lang po yung answer. Okay. For a budgetary purposes, Mas okay po ba na venue with accommodations, piliin ni couple, or different venue and accommodations, especially in Christian wedding po? Okay. This first, Sir Nigel, ikaw na una sa screen! Go!
Grabe ha? Okay. Can you go back to that
The
question
first
again?
question po is
Back.
from the Metro Manila. Ilang maximum capacity po sa ngayong
All
GCQ?
right. So,
30%?
yan. Ito muna ha. First question. Dami kasing tanong mo eh. Okay? Yan. All right. Sa GCQ, I don't know where you got the idea, 30%. But what I read in my part, it's 10% talaga ang social gathering. I think that 30% is referred to outdoor or dining. Yun yung pinaka-watch out. So if you are an outdoor garden, okay lang 30%. But if you are indoor, like venues, 10% lang allowed. So if you know your venue capacity, for instance, your overall venue capacity of category is 600, then 60 per people will be allowed in the venue only as the maximum. Tama ba?
Ayan.
So, pag outdoor kayo, mag-outdoor kayo kung gusto mo na maraming gas dahil 30%. Then, mag-outdoor garden kayo. Tama ba? So,
Okay po. And
hab-
for the second question, sige, si Miss Karen po for the, Metro Manila po kasi,
Yes.
yes.
To add to that, kasi as I mentioned a while ago, minsan per LGU or per venue, depende yan. That's why they have to coordinate with the venue and with the venue mismo. Kasi yung venue mismo, mas alam nila
Yeah.
kung anong allowed sa kanila.
Okay,
yeah.
ayan. For the very last questions from Miss Rosemary, for budgetary purposes, mas okay po ba na venue with accommodations ang pipiliin or different venue and accommodation, especially in Christian wedding? Sir Nigel.
Ako talaga. all right. Casa Aguilar is already packaged na kasi. So, there's a venue and room accommodation. Nakapackage na siya. 2 rooms accommodation, which is the bridal room and the suite room. So, basic na yon. Well, it's much cheaper in my cases. Kaysa yung mag-venue only ka, tapos nag-separate ka na accommodation. Because you have to understand the taxes you have to pay for the accommodation and yung hahabol mo, doble kayo. So, that's in my cases. But, and that's how I see. But I don't know if other people will follow my policy, will follow my strategy. Then, it could be a different scenario. Baka si Karen have an additional to that.
Yes po, Miss Karen.
I think ang question kasi niya kung mas makakamura
Yes.
accommodation at saka ano. Kasi depende yan. Depende yan sa kukunin mong reception area. Kung for example, si reception area, meron siyang both accommodations at saka reception and nakapackage siya and then mas mura siya lalabas, then that would be good. Kasi mayroong budgetary. Pero may time kasi na, sige, for example, hotel nga siya, ang mahal-mahal ng, may reception siya, pero ang mahal-mahal ng room niya. Hindi kasi hindi rin magmamatch yun dun sa ano mo, dun sa requirement mo na budget.
Yes.
Kailangan budget. So, you have to weigh things out. Kung talaga bang yun ang pinaka-main target mo is budget friendly, ganon. Pero yung venue mo is one of the expensive. Yung sa accommodations mo, medyo mas mababa. Or you look for accommodations na mas mababa, di ba? Pero if you have a package like Casa Aguilar na they will give you everything from the venue to the na maayos yung package lang at saka budget friendly, then why not stay there? Diba?
Yes. That's nice. Ayan. Thank you very much for all the questions, our soon-to-weds.
Ladies first, syempre.
Okay. Sige. So as I mentioned a while ago, having a wedding during the community quarantine is still possible. But you always remember to coordinate properly with your venue, with your suppliers, and get an event coordinator to make it smooth para hindi na kayo masyadong ma-stress. As I mentioned, as a whole, be open, be creative, and be prepared. So anything can change, but there's always a way to get around with it. And always think of safety as the priority because we're not only thinking of your priority, but also your guest's priority and your your safety, your guest safety, and the supplier safety as a whole. You don't want to have a event na may nagkasakit afterwards or may nangyari afterwards. So be always uh, be mindful and be thinking of safety. Yun. So yun nga.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
again, be
very much.
open, be
Yes.
creative, be prepared.
Thank you very much, Miss Karen. For Sir Nigel, please.
All right. So before sa closing, I like to give some takeaway. So I really love the way Karen delivered. There are so many things that I can learn when in terms of traveling sa health protocol. Kasi ako, I never travel outside Metro Manila, which is, I haven't tried. Lagi ako sa casa, stuck ako doon. So, di pa ako nakapunta sa Tagaytay, di pa ako, pero I learned that so much about how to go in the process of health protocol. And the second takeaway is, that's something I will never, never forget. It's always there anytime. Be open, be creative. Diba?
Ayun,
Yun.
ay motto.
Kaya
Yes.
always remember guys, hindi pwedeng iwanan yan. Be open, be creative all the time for all suppliers, for all the problems, for all the opportunity and chances.
Ayan.
Lalo na when you're struggling. Diba?
Yes, tama
So
po.
yan ang
Thank you
magandang
very
takeaway
much.
eh.
Ayan. So, for
So
table
yan.
number 3, si Sir Nigel, and for table number 4, si Miss Karen. Okay. We'll see you there, mga suntuwet.
See you
Thank
there.
you.